Welcome back. Today I wanted to really focus on the exploration of learning about our relationships, our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual relationships to cycles of nature and our own cycles. As you can imagine, when it's daytime, right now for me is daytime, I'm awake. When it's nighttime, I'm asleep. So the understanding that we have around cycles is more than simply following our circadian rhythms. Our energies flow in and out in relationship to the cycles of nature. And there's an interesting chapter in a book called The Healing Mind by Dr. Oyle, who the chapter is titled The Tides of Life. And he explores this in how our cycles of energy are understood in different healing traditions. And I think you will find it interesting with me, so I wanted to read this little short bit of the chapter, and then we'll have this exploration together. So let's dive in. The Healing Mind, Dr. Irving Oyle. Chapter 6, The Tides of Life. Many cosmologies postulate the existence of a vibratory essence which permeates and creates our total conscious experience, and call it by a variety of names: God, spirit, energy, chi, prana, bioplasma, etc. In Chinese medical philosophy, it is called qi. Qi traverses the body as a flow of energy which follows well-defined pathways called meridians. According to Chinese theory, whenever the flow of this energy along the meridians is either obstructed or weakened, the likelihood for sickness is increased. This functional disturbance energy flow can produce the organic and structural changes associated with disease. It is interesting to note the similarities to modern particle physics, which proposes that we all exist suspended in a sea of energy which penetrates between and through our body cells. Our physical body can be pictured as a soup, widely separated islands of particulate matter suspended in energy, which also makes thought. In traditional Chinese medicine, qi is said to fall into two main categories. The force of daytime energy, or light, is called yang. The night force, the energy of darkness, is called yin. Qi is the resultant, or combination of these complementary, equipotent forces. In the summer, the light yang aspect of qi is predominant, while in the winter, the night yin facet of cosmic energy overpowers the light. The days grow shorter, the nights longer until the winter solstice. The light power, on the brink of extinction, changes its direction and begins to grow stronger at the expense of its eternal opponent. This polarity reversal is depicted in all the pagan myths of the sun god who dies and is resurrected. It occurs because anything pushed to the extreme turns into its opposite. Our entire organism, every cell in the body, pulsates harmonically with the light-dark interplay, which creates a day. The balance between rest and activity parallels exactly the yin-yang, dark-light relationship. In 24 hours, one Earth revolution, energy, qi, makes a complete circuit of the body and re-enters the cosmic sea. This accounts for the phenomenon of circadian, approximately daily rhythms, cyclic variations in biologic activity in all living systems, cells, organisms, and even groups of organisms. The tides of life. The reason for physical breakdown in many cases is a life pattern which does not take into account natural rhythms. The most obvious of the biologic rhythms is the diurnal, day-night cycle. The activity of each cell in the living body varies according to the amount of solar energy available. The circadian rhythms of all body cells consist of alternating periods of activity and rest, much like the rhythms of inhalation and exhalation, or of cardiac systole and diastole, contraction and relaxation. The energy which powers all life processes is, according to Paracelsus, transmitted as a third aspect of solar radiation, traveling through space along with heat and light, but different from either. Our ability to store the solar energy is limited. Working day and night in pursuit of ego goals exhausts available reserves and precipitates an energy crisis. Working with students at Sonoma State College, Ruth Miller has described 4 basic functions of consciousness which have approximately monthly cycles. These biorhythms vary in cycles covering 23 to 40 days. They seem to begin at birth and persist throughout the lifetime of the organism. Computers can now be programmed to provide a printout of the state of efficiency of the physical 40-day, intellectual 33-day, intuitional 28-day, the emotional 23-day functions on any given day. Japanese railroad officials keep such a record on their engineers. They have significantly reduced accidents by keeping operating personnel off the job during critical days. All our functions seem to operate in a cyclic on-off manner. Hospitals and surgeons are investigating the biorhythms to determine the effect they might have on the state of the patient in regard to the success or failure of an operation. In due time, biorhythms may indicate the date and time of operation. Many common diseases show a cyclic pattern. Among these are upper respiratory infections, pneumonia, and influenzas. The latter tend to recur periodically in the form of worldwide epidemics. The incidence of ulcer and asthmatic exacerbations peak sharply in the spring and fall. These are the times when the ratio of length of day to length of night is reversing. These times of polarity reversal are critical. They require a similar reversal in the activity, rest, polarity of the organism. In the fall, the days begin to grow short, and in the summer, the sun is high in the sky, delivering greater amounts of energy over a long daily period. As fall approaches, our dose of solar energy decreases in intensity and in duration. The night power gradually becomes dominant. This is the energy of introspection, the resting phase of the annual cycle. All of nature becomes more quiescent. Man in the civilized state has lost touch with these rhythmic events. He or she feels compelled to stay in the swing summer and winter and continue an unremitting pace of activities. We are, in a sense, battery operated. Our energy level varies with the amount of available light. Scientific American recently carried a report which indicates the pineal glands of birds of some species are sensitive to light, which reaches them directly through the skull. Change in light intensity or direction affects the light pattern of blind birds. This work is important because it shows that light can affect behavior directly. We know that there are nerve pathways which carry light impulses from the eye to the pineal gland in the center of the skull. Is it possible that this light is affecting and regulating our behavior? According to Dr. David Bressler of UCLA, the pineal gland is the point of highest concentration of serotonin in the brain. Serotonin is the ultimate downer, while norepinephrine, a relative of adrenaline, is the ultimate upper. These neurohormones are found at the point where nerve impulses must jump the gap between cells, the synapse. They regulate the rate of flow of nerve current through the body. Consider the change which comes over any group of living creatures when the sun comes out after a prolonged rainstorm. The sudden burst of solar energy initiates sharply increased activity. During the period of darkness and rain, we tend to be more quiet and subdued. Many consider themselves to be depressed or moody, forgetting the connection between state of mind and the weather. The sun is not the only extraterrestrial power source which affects our behavior and mental state. I once attended a lecture at New York's Hayden Planetarium, at which the speaker, a physicist from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, was discussing quasars, then a newly discovered source of energy radiation in deep space. He explained that these quasi-stellar radio sources seem to exist at the outer limits of our known universe. They represent points in deep space which are capable of radiating huge amounts of energy over short periods of time. The particular source under consideration gives off energy bursts in the order of 1 trillion suns over a period of 24 Earth hours. Scientists at MIT were interested in correlating events on our planet with these cosmic cataclysms. Data was fed into computers from a particular quasar. Results indicated that its energy would have reached our solar system on Black Tuesday in 1929, the day of the stock market crash, which marked the beginning of worldwide depression and rocked the entire civilized world. There seems to be a definite temporal relationship between social and cosmic events in this case, at least. Other sources of cosmic energy include the center of our own galaxy, which is known to emit huge intermittent bursts of radiation exploding solar systems, and radiation from neighboring extragalactic sources. How might such influences affect individual consciousness? Sudden unexplained changes in mood might be one way. Things might be going along smoothly when the consciousness seems to be seized from outside, as it were, by a tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, or a vague feeling of malaise. At this point, one tends to look around for someone to blame. This is usually husband, wife, boss, or anyone else who happens to be handy. Looking for a reason, many people spend huge amounts of time and money in the pursuit of obscure childhood trauma. Carl Jung notes that in cases of argument between husband and wife, each thinks the situation is unique. He points out that the same exchange has taken place in innumerable languages, in innumerable human groups since time began. He suggests that the causes transcend the individual and his personal relationships. If you observe yourself carefully next time you get a knot in the stomach, you will find that the feeling comes first. Then you begin to search for reasons in the past or in the immediate environment. Failing to find such a reason, an honest individual may say, "I don't know what came over me." The Cartesian splitting of thought and substance into polar opposites suggests their unity on a higher level. This higher unity has the power to initiate a wave of cosmic energy, causing man's society to disintegrate and his emotions to run riot. Consider the quasar reaching Earth on Black Tuesday. Most religious texts speak of the periodic flood, which washes away civilization and almost all its inhabitants. In addition to the catabolic aspect, this unification of opposites, God or whatever, has an anabolic or constructive aspect. Since time immemorial, humans have either built arks to survive the flood, wandered 40 years in wilderness, or communed with this omniscient unity on mountaintops in order to turn off an atrocious empirical reality. Most of the adaptations to the destructive nature of the unity are described as having been derived from visions. Buddha's encounter under the bow tree with the Lord of Death, or Christ's temptation by the devil or on the mountain. Applying the Russian model of bioplasmic energy, we might say that the mental image which appears to consciousness during meditative alpha, theta states flashes holographically the direction and nature of the prevailing energy burst in the cosmos. An immediate application of this thesis would be to take 15 minutes a day to get a cosmic weather report, so to speak. Human consciousness, specifically the rational function, has the power to initiate vibrations in the bioplasma. When the thinker, mind, is at rest, it vibrates in the alpha range, about 10 cycles per second. This is the basic vibratory rate of the field of planet Earth. Bioplasmic energy enters the body, traverses the 12 acupuncture meridians, where it precipitates the organs in a steady state of vibration between matter and energy. If we do nothing, Chinese authors tell us, cosmic energy rebalances of its own accord and restores harmony. Sitting quietly, doing nothing, the grass grows green and spring comes. The energy charge you feel in your gut, chest, or wherever might have originated in a quasar or in an exploding star system which no longer exists. You might blame your bed companion or anyone else, but consider it objectively. Observe whether the energy grabs you from outside or inside. Notice that you then formulate a reason for feeling the energy. I was grouchy. You started it. I'm depressed. The alchemical approach would be to seal the energy hermetically, to not run it off in the worries, arguments, or general thrashing about, as this route generally results in tissue destruction and premature aging. Do not give the feeling any name except energy. Concentrate on making your breath regular and even. Observe the effect this has on the energy. Make a simple mental picture of the energy and visualize it flowing up the front and down the back of your body. Any pattern of the flow which feels right works. Consider physical symptoms to be blockages of free flow of the energy, while giving your full attention to breathing regularly and circulating the energy. Check each part of your body for obstructions to the flow. While you are doing this, expect to see a visual image in your head which represents total health. You'll know it when you see it. It will affect you like the flag affects the patriot. The charge you feel is the energy of the lousy mood or of the ache. Its polarity has been reversed. It shows its benign instead of its destructive face. This face manifests as healing. It is also possible to transform the energy change into a visual image, a hologram. This chapter brings up a lot of very important points, again, in relationship to our physical energy and how it functions and cycles through different cycles of the day, patterns that can change with respect to different seasons. And in general, our energies fluctuate. And in general, energy, whatever that may be, in different traditions, it's called different things, prana, chi, vis, you name it, or simply energy, if that's the language you prefer, the word you prefer to use. It cycles, it moves. Our bodies are electric, so energy is real. We can measure it, in fact. But some of it is something that we can access by simply using our breath. Our breath, in a sense, moves energy. So when you're feeling short of breath, energy gets stuck. When you're hyperventilating, energy is just moving around chaotically. And although we didn't spend very much time on this idea of breathing in this chapter, the breath itself is really the most powerful mover of energy. Spending 7 minutes a day could move mountains with simple breathing techniques that really require no effort except taking 7 minutes out of every single day just to focus on breathing, mindful breathing, every inhalation and exhalation. Thank you for joining me today in sharing this little brief chapter by Dr. Oyle. I look forward to sharing more with you, and please do subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to sharing more as time goes on.